want to congratulate you on winning the Muskie-Chafee Award. It is a well-deserved recognition of your good work in the Environment and Natural Resources Division and your dedication to protecting America's environment.
And that's because a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away in the late 1970s, early 1980s, I worked at EPA headquarters in D.C. And one day my office asked if I would interview a young lawyer looking for a job in our office. And I said, yes, of course. And that interviewee turned out to be Karen, and the rest is history. And that office that we worked in had a lot to do with water issues, particularly water permitting and water enforcement. And one thing we all saw very quickly was how incredibly dedicated Karen was to her job and what a hard worker she was. And of course, throughout the years, became one of the field's great experts in the Clean Water Act and is certainly known as that through today.
We knew we had a keeper when Karen joined the Law and Policy Section, then PLSL, in 1999. She was smart and mature, she was a committed professional, and she was a great listener. She didn't feel the need to broadcast her intelligence or her skills because they spoke for themselves. We all remember Karen as warm and personable, but she also did her homework and she was strategic. These attributes made her particularly effective in the legislative arena. Her early focus was CERCLA, and one of her early accomplishments was to help get the brownfields legislation passed in 2002.
And I came to rely upon your knowledge of the division and familiarity with our client agencies, including EPA. It was in my last year in the division when you finally figured out how to get me engaged in one of your favorite groups, the Coral Reef Task Force. Some of my fondest memories of you with your sun-tinged cheeks are enjoying an umbrella drink with the beach and ocean in the background and you making fun of me for not going in the water.
Karen was with me in those early years when we were on the Hill virtually every week doing Superfund reform, testified, providing memoranda to staff and to senators and members of Congress. We met countless times with key members of the Environment and Public Works Committee and the Commerce Committee, and Karen was such a star in that area. In early 2010, with the eruption of Deepwater Horizon and the amazing environmental tragedy that became, Karen was at the centerpiece of that. Every day she was giving information to the White House. Every day she was giving information to those people on the front line. Later, when I returned to the Department of Justice as Assistant Attorney General and I started negotiating Deepwater Horizon, Karen was such a valued confidant for me, giving me advice, giving me assistance in what was to become the largest settlement in the history of the United States. One of the other jobs that I received when I came back to the Department of Justice as Assistant Attorney General is I became the co-chair of the President's Task Force on Illegal Wildlife Trafficking. I found out later that was one of Karen's passions. She really cared deeply about wildlife in the world and the tragedy of what was happening. So I met with my counterparts at Department of Interior and Department of State. We had meetings. We worked hard. We brought the government on board to do more things in support of this national and international problem. I led the delegation into Botswana, which still has the largest population of elephants in the world. But then later, when we had a follow-on conference in Hanoi, Vietnam, I brought Karen with me because she had done so much in this area.
She expanded our work in Africa, Asia, and Latin America with foreign governments. She was a wise counselor on the application of U.S. law to wildlife and timber trafficking issues. In 2017, she received the Presidential Rank Award for this work, which was very well deserved. More than that, Karen was not just a lawyer, she was a leader, a friend, and a mentor to many. There are many exceptional lawyers who learned their craft from her. She always cared that the people she worked with had interesting work, that they succeeded in their careers, and she cared about them as people.
Karen was dedicated to the principle of finding the right result and answer, no matter where that led. And she was a huge advocate for fairness.
Karen had a sharp mind and an open heart, and her integrity was her true north. And that's what you want in a colleague and a friend.
So it's only fitting that you are now receiving an award named after two senators from two coastal states who, like you, worked hard to protect our oceans and America's natural wonders.
Karen is richly deserving of any award, and particularly this award. She is certainly the model of what a civil servant is and should be. And I send you a virtual hug, Karen. Congratulations.